is in a T-square with the north and the south node. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's G. And sometimes Taffy too. She just left the room, so we'll see what happens. This is the week of June 17th. Yeah, June 17th. We're going to take a look at this week, the next 7 days. So we're looking at Monday to Monday. And we have 3 planets. Well, 2 planets and 1 luminary moving into a new sign. And technically, there's actually 4, but the 4th one changes a sign every 2.5 days. But we aren't going to cover that. We've done it in the past, and you guys get it. But in the meantime, we're going to take a look at some of the other planets that have to do with our money, our desires, our love, values, our mind, communication, coworkers, neighbors, siblings, business, the stock market, the housing market. We even have a full moon this week, so we'll touch on that. Go check out the video for the full moon if you haven't seen it yet. So we start off over here. We got Venus and Mercury. Venus and Mercury. They're entering the sign of Cancer this week. Actually, on Monday. Yeah, hours apart. So what you could say is that they're holding hands as they enter the sign Cancer. Cancer is home and family. Mothers, women. Yep. The history, the ancestry. The moon rules the sign of Cancer. The moon is the emotions. Emotions, you're feeling your emotional security, emotional stability. Think moon. Think moon. Who is your tribe? What kind of people do you vibe with, right? Moon energy. Moon energy. We know the moon cycles. We know when there's a full moon, emotions get high. Yeah, I drew that rather large. It's a very moony day, apparently. And so we think of mom and nurturing when we think of moon. Mom, family, and childhood. This is also the ancestry, your history, like the homeland, your ethnicity. It's old. It's about the past. It's the moon. So with Venus going there, it's our value now, right? This is what we value. So think Venus. This is what I value. This is what I desire. And it goes into the sign of Cancer. So mom, home, and family will become a focus. They'll become important to you. Important to, if they're already not important, they become more important. So we think how people, especially in the States at this time of year, have their family reunions. Sure, the weather helps, of course. But it's a thing because the planets just move there. And then we have Mercury at the same time moving into Cancer. It all happens on the same day, like 4 or 5 hours apart. So this is what we're thinking about. This is what we're talking about. So when we see Mercury, we normally say like coworkers and neighbors and peers and siblings. When it's mixed in with the sign of Cancer, it becomes, well, my peers and my coworkers that feel like family, my friends even and classmates that feel like family. We're communicating and talking with them even more so. So when we say Mercury representing sibling energy, there would definitely be an uptick in communications with sibling, maybe transportation, short journey, short ride. So yeah, they're conjunct. That's what the symbol is right here, the conjunct symbol. A focus on these two big time. This is feminine energy. So in the news, because that's Mercury, the news, we are hearing about women, but not just women. It's feminine energy. But what else does Cancer represent? Other than the past and the home, it's also literally the house that you live in, the sticks and the bricks. Okay? So we've got our Cancer energy really prominent. And if Venus is there, we know Venus is values and money, right? So we think about what is the value of my home? And that's been a big thing. Everybody's been waiting like for the bubble to burst. And as long as there is a supply shortage, the bubble isn't going to necessarily burst, but it looks like things might be changing. I know in some of the videos I've been doing for a few months now, there's at least conversations that are being started about, how to fix it, how to take care of this housing issue and the crazy cost of housing and that dual-edged sword of the price and there being a shortage and how to recalibrate. And so here it is on the chart. You see them right there. This is on Monday, 0 degrees, 0 degrees. So real quick, just so that you guys know, the Venus within this 7-day time period is going to move roughly 8 degrees, roughly 8 degrees. So by the following Monday, the 24th, Venus will have hit 8 degrees in the sign of Cancer. Mercury, on the other hand, moves twice as fast. She goes from 0 to 14 degrees. So by next Monday, Venus is at 8, Mercury's at 14. I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but I wrote those speeds down because I think there's some of you that will take that information and utilize it and we'll appreciate it. So Cancer is cardinal energy. So on the chart, you're going to see the red. You see the red drawn in here. That's cardinal. So it's going to square cardinal. So that means Cancer energy at 0 degrees is going to square Libra at 0. And it's going to square Aries at 0. And as they move throughout the week between 0 and 8 degrees for Venus, that's the square in Libra and Aries between 0 and 8 degrees. You follow? So I'll change that to blue. So we know that that's Venus and her path. So if you've got anything in your chart in the cardinal, Libra and Aries between 0 and 8 degrees, and Cancer for that matter, just the transits alone don't create T-square energy for you unless you have something there natally. Make sense? And then we're going to go to Mercury, 0 to 14. So I take Mercury, go to my purple, and Mercury's going to go from 0 all the way to 14. So if you've got anything in Aries or Libra, 0 to 14 degrees, Mercury is going to create square energy. And we have something there by transit, and we'll get to it because that's going to be the North and the South node that are part of the story. Okay. So before we get there, we're going to go right to the 19th, because by transit, as you saw on this chart, at 0 degrees for Libra, there's nothing there, right? Nothing at 0. We don't have anything in Libra, actually, because this buy right here, that's buying property, or a purchase. I shouldn't say property, but purchases, buying and purchasing of things. It is in Libra energy. It's about fair and equality. Can be lawyer energy too. I know in the Star Room every Saturday, 9 p.m., we look at charts, and we've got someone there who was mentioning recently about possibly looking to get a lawyer. And it was for the month of June, actually, and maybe sooner. But when you've got the part of the lot of buying, and it's in Libra energy, that is lawyer energy. So that's interesting. And yeah, you see the first thing here in Aries, 11, 12 degrees. So we don't have anything at those lower degrees necessarily, okay? So you got to have something in your chart. And if it's that square energy, remember, it just means stress and tension. And if it's Venus, it could be values and money. Feminine energy, Venus, desire, love, how I receive. That's Venus. Okay, so Venus is down here, and that's her at 0 going to 8, right? So then Mercury would be news and information. And with who? Again, coworkers and siblings. Coworkers, siblings, neighbors. Gosh, I know in my neighborhood, there can be days where it's really quiet and other days where it's just super loud. School children, teachers, Mercury is learning. And that square energy, again, lawyers, That's a big thing. It's a hot item in the United States. Lots of lawyer energy, lots of trials going on, lots of things with the Supreme Court. And then that just creates that stress and that tension. And it's in the news because it's Mercury. But Mercury is also the market. It's the market. So when Venus and Mercury are moving together, there is the details, Mercury, and taking a look at the fine print and the data and figuring out more closely what the hell is going on. And the housing market would be a big factor here. And I know recently there was a thing with realtors and there was a law that was created. I don't know enough about it, but something about almost like not replacing realtors because they would be considered the middleman, right? But there's some sort of a law where I'm not really sure, but it almost eliminates the realtors. I could be wrong, and I actually probably am when it comes to that because that's not my area of focus, right? Or my expertise for that matter. So if you know something about it, or if you don't, go and check it out and just Google it or whatever and make sure you're looking at a credible source and find out because there is going to be something that's happening here. And it could be support. It could be that we're getting support to, like I said earlier, create a better, healthy, balanced environment as far as homes and housing in the US. And it seems like it's a global thing, but boy, it's a thing here for sure. We go to the 19th, and I have drawn on here Black Moon Lilith with Juno. Now, they have been together in Virgo for a while. This has been going on this whole time for like 6 months of 2024, the first 6 months. So it's not new. But I just wanted to kind of give a heads up because you see here on Monday, the Black Moon, she's over here at 23 in Virgo, conjunct part of fortune. 23 degrees conjunct part of fortune. And it's Black Moon who normally is known to throw a monkey wrench into something. We think Virgo, we think domestic, we think work and projects and day-to-day routines and the organization of that. It's hygiene, it's perfection, perfection, perfection when it's on the extreme level, so overly critical sometimes. It makes so much out of the details. It's an overemphasis on the details sometimes. There's a partnership, Juno, partnership energy. And we think of people getting aid for the essentials. You know, I think of the home healthcare aides. We think of nurses, people who provide the essentials, clean clothing, clean bedding. They take care of the food, the laundry. They're making sure the space is clean and safe. Like this is super important energy. These are what I call the silent workers because they're not necessarily behind the scenes. We see them, but we don't really talk to them. Their job is to just, if you live in a place where you've got people that you hire out to handle, whether it's, maybe you take your laundry and the laundry gets done, or maybe somebody comes in and cleans your home. Many times that happens and you're not even in the house, right? So they're not hidden necessarily, but they're kind of silent. Like they don't really have a say in the domestic stuff because they're just there to clean. They're just there to do the yard work, right? They are, what's another word they use? Servant energy. I don't like that word, so I don't use it, but they are definitely essential workers. This Black Moon Lilith this week will be conjunct that Juno partnership, the practical partnership, because Virgo's really logical and practical, really good with the tools, the necessities and calendars and scheduling and tasks. Black Moon Lilith will be conjunct Juno. They will meet up around 15 degrees, 14, 15 degrees. And then Lilith goes back to like 12 because she's retrograding here. She stops at 12 and she goes forward again. So we have them paired up, taking us into next week on the 24th. They're still paired up. So because the monkey wrench might be a thing, there's already stuff going on that I'm seeing in the charts pointing to job reports and possibly layoffs. And I've got people on the channel who are concerned about their jobs and some have just temporary jobs and they're like, oh my gosh, is this the end of that? Just plan accordingly. There might be an adjustment. If it's not the job, it could be, whatever job you were doing, there could be a change. Or if nothing else, the monkey wrench is thrown in there. And usually that ends up being some overly critical thing because it's Virgo, right? Somebody might be micromanaging the details, Virgo. That might happen and it could be an irritation. There is good support though, because all this stuff in Virgo is earth energy. And when you look at it, the earth energy lines up. We got Vega here at 15. Let me get this over to here. Yeah, Vega stays at 15. That's a fixed star. That stays there. So I'm not overly concerned about this. I am not overly concerned. Now in Taurus, we don't have anything powerful that I can see. We have Arabic lots, and those are good. Those are good as far as showing up, but they're fast. They're temporary spots in the chart. So I do have success at 18, but again, that's temporary. It's a very short-lived thing. There's no slower moving object here in the teens. So the good news is that the long-term energy, Capricorn, long-term time, Capricorn rules time, is still trining at this point. It's still trining at around the 14, 15, 16 degrees. And so that can be good. That can support what I'm saying, where if there's a change or a hiccup or a stress, it may be just temporary. Okay. The other thing too is that this 14 mark gets a sextile. There is a sextile 60 degrees away. It gets a sextile from Sirius, Sirius. And Sirius is not a slow mover. It's a fixed star. So that stays there and it does a good job. It does a good job of providing support. And look, it's family, it's home, it's women, it's feminine energy, it's nurturing, it's emotions. That's important. It's emotions. So whatever that change is, it's supported by Sirius, and Mercury by Monday is also sextiling that. You see that? That's on the 24th. Mercury brings in that sextile. So that was the 19th when we were talking about the conjunction. So for me, if I look at this as an example for myself, Black Moon Lilith in Virgo, the details and the data, but also like the day-to-day routines. So whether it's the day-to-day routines at work or the day-to-day routines at home, whatever those activities are, however you like things to be in the house, like location. We had someone in the Starry Night Live and he had a lot of Virgo energy in his second house cusp line. And I was mentioning something about, the perfection and the orderly and the organized stuff. And he said, oh yeah, at my job, everything has to be just so. And and we were kind of chuckling about it, saying if somebody wanted to piss him off, go into his job and, rearrange his desk, not even like in an insane way, just move something. And the Virgo would know and be like, hey, what the hell? Where's my stuff? Or who moved this? Who touched my stuff? Right. So the Virgo energy is all about tools. So you're thinking like, if you're at the job and he's got a desk, you're thinking the paper clips, you're thinking the stapler, you're thinking whatever the kind of tools you got to use. Where are my pens and pencils? Like, moving those things around, the scissors, like that would be a big deal. And so what happens? Well, we get a little snarky. We get a little snarky. Now, because it's conjunct Juno, it's a partnership. So it would likely happen with somebody that you work with, but that you feel partnered up with in some way. Juno typically represents feminine energy because that's Juno, typically feminine energy. So this would just be a time where we're just paying attention. And usually it's our shadow side, something we don't want to own in our personality. There can be a duality, like we're pointing a finger and be like, I can't believe they just did this or said that or whatever, or moved that. And it's probably something that we ourselves do, but we won't own it. We don't want to look in the mirror and own it. So we point a finger and we're like, look what they did. Did you hear what they said? Because this coworker energy can be interesting. Vega provides energy, literally. It's like somebody giving a recharge on your battery provides energy to Black Moon. So we might be overly critical. So that's for this week. And it's strong starts off being strong on the 19th. 19th, 20th, and the 21st were where they were really strong. And so that takes us to the 21st on this chart. And this, I think, is important because on the 21st, if we're thinking we're kind of being snarky or, whatever, in a bad mood or overly critical, it's like that voice in your head that you can hear, and you want it to, like, maybe you don't realize there's this voice and you need to tell it to, hey, just sit your ass down and be quiet. Because you're making my life difficult. You're not making it easier. I got to work with that person, type of thing. On the 21st, the sun enters Cancer. The sun enters Cancer. So on the 20th, we had the solstice, summer solstice, longest, greatest amount of light, first day of summer for us in the States. The next day, the 21st, we've got sun in the sign of Cancer. Cancer energy is strong this week. Cancer season is officially begun, 21st. Okay. So home, family, women, history, my heritage, grandma, my mom's mom, my grandma's mom. Right. Family, history, and heritage following the mom and her history and her family lineage on her side of the family. You follow? Because it's the feminine energy. And we think homes again in the housing market. We think childhood. We think the past. When the sun is here, this is someone who's in charge. Someone who's in charge. Well, because it's combined with Cancer energy. Cancer's ruler is the moon. So this is that time of year when it gets really interesting. So the moon rules Cancer energy, but the sun is in Cancer. And we're going to have the moon in the opposite sign. And that takes us to the full moon. We're going to have a full moon in Capricorn, full moon in Cappy. Yep. It's on the 23rd. There is a video out for it. I will link it below. Go watch it because I'm not going to go into the details other than we're having a full moon in Capricorn. Capricorn is somebody in charge. It's boss energy, it's government, it's business. We think corporations. The full moon is an ending. It ends a cycle. Okay. So that's going to happen over here. And it happens like at 1 degree. There it is. 1 degree in the sign of Capricorn. Okay. 1 degree. So go watch that video to get more details about that. Now we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about Rigel. I've got it written here on the chart. And Rigel, I had to write it in because for whatever reason on this chart, I didn't have it printed up. So what's interesting is Pandora's box, the can of worms, is here as well. So there is a conjunction. All right. And it's where this conjunction actually starts off right at the beginning of this week. We literally feel this now. What are we feeling? Well, it's the can of worms, which is like, okay, this thing got opened up, and usually it's not good news. And I say news because it's in Gemini, or we're talking about something that kind of leaves a bad taste in our mouth even. And usually they say that it kind of makes you feel like there is nothing left but hope when all else is gone and all you have left is hope. So it really it doesn't sound very optimistic or positive. And that's just the regular definition of Pandora's box. That's why I called it the can of worms. But when I read it from the software, it just sounds, not good. It will be conjunct Rigel. Okay. 17 degrees in Gemini. Now, Rigel is talked about in a very positive, promising way. Rigel is talked about as one of the brightest stars that gives great vigor and determination. It gives an exceptional level of ability and good luck, including material prosperity. So for some of you, this can be nice. It's a star of enterprise. It's purposeful activity and business. And guess what? Yeah, it rules Gemini energy because, well, Rigel is a fixed star. So it's sitting here in Gemini. It rules communications and business, the stock market, right? Now look in the chart. Let's see. It's conjunct Pandora's box. So that's kind of not so great. So it almost is like, okay, is there going to be a fluctuation, whether it's in the stock market? It definitely will be a fluctuation. it's looking like the housing market, because this is the markets in general, including your local community, which includes your homes and the businesses. Now, when you put that together, when you combine that with the information that we just talked about, with the Venus and Mercury going into homes, right? Cancer energy into homes. And then these two together here, Black Moon Lilith. The reason I'm mentioning this is because they're like at the 15-degree mark, and the Black Moon does a retrograde and then goes back up in numbers. So there's going to be a square, because Virgo energy is mutable, and Virgo squares Gemini. You see? So I was all ready to record this video, and I kept hearing Rigel, and I kept ignoring it because I kept saying, there's enough to talk about. I don't need to talk about that. But look, Black Moon, Lilith, and Juno squaring Rigel and Pandora's box at 17. You see? And that's not all. Across the way, we want to go to the opposite, which is Pisces, because that's the other mutable sign. Well, look what we have. We have Saturn sitting here at 19 and Nessus, Nessus at 19. So they're not at 17. They're not even at 15, but technically 2 degrees away is definitely a square. Yeah, that's a square. And this Black Moon Lilith moves so fast. She moves so fast that, yes, the Virgo energy is going to be part of this square for sure. For sure. Okay, so let me complete this in here, and that creates a T-square. So now you can see where my concerns are possibly with jobs, something domestic in the home, maybe schedules changing in the home, maybe things flipping. I know here every year this happens because one of my housemates is a teacher. And so summer is very different than from the school year. She does teach during the summer, but she has a different schedule, and their summer classes, so they're really condensed and heavy. So for her, it's usually very different in her work cycle. It's way more intense. It's shorter, but it's really intense. You're cramming in a full course, I think, in 8 weeks. So it's just really, it can be stressful. It can be stressful. And learning is Gemini energy. Yeah, learning is Gemini. Teaching is Gemini. It's the books, but it's also social media, and it's news. And we think of people who are in charge of social media sites, but this is your local community and businesses and the real estate in general. All right. So Neptune's at 2952, but then we got Saturn and Nessus, part of this T-square, this mutable T-square. Saturn is rules and restriction. Okay. It's somebody in charge. It's the boss. It's the person who sets the rules, right? Pisces energy can be a little idealistic, a little fantastical, like that whole make-believe thing, right? But it can also bestow help. It can be about unity. It can be about showing my idealisms, right? And it also is like spirituality, religion. We think Pisces energy, and we think also the political figures and politics. And if you're in the US or anywhere else and you're paying attention to the US's crap, you understand all too well. All our politicians who are on social media and who, it's a performance energy, theater, performance energy. Absolutely. So there's a big T-square. So this week, because Rigel is here and Rigel is very powerful, it's usually very beneficial. Now, the very last line in the software says, caution, avoid rash behavior. So with rash behavior, using the power that Rigel bestows upon somebody, if someone is being rash, which is you're not thinking things through, being a little flighty, being a little quick, flip-flopping back and forth in the duality of the Gemini energy, right? Research it, be grounded in the choice that you're going to make, because it's about options, choices, and decisions. It's Gemini energy, right? So don't be rash. Do your due diligence, do your homework, talk to professionals if you need to, and then you get the success. The thing is, we got the can of worms there. So there's something here at the 17 degree. Do you got something there in your chart? If you do, that would be another thing to just pay attention to. And for the full moon video, if you haven't seen it, Capricorn rules. The Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So this Saturn and Nessa, because they're at matching degrees, will play a major role in that full moon. So I would watch it if you want it, if you're interested in hearing more about that. The last thing on this to talk about is Libra energy, Aries energy, and Cancer energy. I already mentioned about the squares, but what I didn't mention or go deep dive on was the north and the south node. They're now at 12 degrees and 50 minutes. And so what that creates here in this chart at 12:50, Cancer energy, we have Mercury is here now, and Mercury is in a T-square with the north and the south node. Remember, Mercury rules Gemini, and again, the housing market, communication, the markets in general. To me, Mercury in Cancer and receiving a big T-square. So I'm just going to draw it out like this. I'll go directly to Mercury, the north and the south node, directly going to Mercury. So whether it's the housing market, the stock market, there's something here with the markets and possibly, definitely, I'm leaning very strongly with real estate because of all the Cancer energy involved. Because it's a short-term thing, because Mercury moves quite fast and Mercury's not doing a retrograde in the sign of Cancer, it could be just a nice little adjustment, and possibly, maybe, we might hear some news about regulation and government, because we know at the end of the week, there's going to be a full moon in Capricorn. Okay. And we'll see. It ends the cycle, that's for sure, because it's in Capricorn. And I'm hoping it's something that we'll see that will create a more equitable housing market in general, and to get things back where they're approachable, because we got higher interest rates as it is. And so when you got high interest rates and high house rates, right? High prices, holy shit, right? It's like a no-win situation. I got Pluto, which is transformations, deep, powerful transformations. Okay. Pluto's the person in charge. Aquarius energy is group energy, can be unions, but it is technology. It is breaking away from the old and doing something new and different and unconventional. And it's a nice, strong trine to the Gemini energy. So you see, Gemini and Cancer are really on the stage. They're really being highlighted. Jupiter's here, Saturn is here, White Moon Lilith is here. And of course, Rigel. Right. And this week, because the sun goes into Gemini or into Cancer on the 21st, that means on the 20th and the 19th that we're looking the sun being at a critical degree in Gemini. Right. News, social media, the markets, education, learning, your local community, farmers markets, business. Remember, this is the scribe. I keep track of stuff. I'm learning and I'm taking in the data, the details, and the information. I love to share Gemini energy. I love to talk. I love to communicate Gemini energy. Gemini energy, talking with the hands. It rules the wrists and the hands. That's Gemini energy. So Pluto is trining, which means it will create ease to bring about deep, powerful transformations to all these Gemini keywords. Women are present because Sedna is here. Jupiter is here, so these are the justices. These are judgments. This is opinions and beliefs. So I'm not sure what's going on in that one big case in the United States with a judge and a jury, and but something very powerful. I know in the previous week's videos it looked interesting, so we'll leave it at that and see what happens. But it will be something powerful that comes about because Pluto is in a retrograde while all that's going on. All right, so With that said, you got any questions, comment below, and I will see you in the next video. Remember, I always appreciate your time. Bye-bye.